The Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park was known for its breathtaking views and exhilarating rides, but little did anyone know that it also harbored a dark secret. Lena and her friends had been talking about going on a cave exploring adventure for weeks. They had all heard the stories of the hidden wonders that lay beneath the surface and were excited to uncover them. They purchased tickets to the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park and started their journey to the caves. When they arrived at the cave entrance, Lena could feel a chill run down her spine. Despite the excitement, she had a feeling that something was off. She pushed the feeling aside and followed her friends into the cave. As they made their way through the winding tunnels, they marveled at the natural beauty of the cave. The stalactites and stalagmites sparkled in the dim light of their headlamps. They felt like they had stepped into another world. But as they continued on, they soon realized they were lost. Every turn they took led to another dead end. Lena felt her heart pounding in her chest. She wanted nothing more than to get out of the cave. As they ventured deeper into the cave, they came across a pool of water. Lena's friend, Jake, suggested they try cave diving to find a way out. Lena was hesitant at first, but the group convinced her to give it a try. She took a deep breath and plunged into the water, her headlamp illuminating the murky depths. The water was cold and still, with no current to guide them. They swam deeper and deeper, until they realized they were stuck in the cave, with no way out. Panic set in as they frantically searched for a way out. The darkness of the cave became their only companion, and the dripping of water echoed through their nightmares. Days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months, as they tried in vain to find a way out. As time passed, the group began to turn on each other. Tensions were high, and each day brought new conflicts. Lena watched as her friends began to spiral out of control. She was scared, but she knew she had to remain level-headed if she was going to survive. One day, they stumbled upon an underground river. Lena's friend, Sarah, suggested they follow it in hopes of finding a way out. They piled into a makeshift raft and began to float down the river. Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She couldn't put her finger on it, but she knew they were in danger. Suddenly, the raft hit a rock, and they were thrown into the water. Lena struggled to keep her head above water as she was pulled downstream. She saw something in the water ahead of her, but she couldn't make out what it was. As she got closer, she realized it was a body. She screamed and tried to swim away, but it was too late. The body grabbed Lena, pulling her under the water. She struggled to break free, but the body's grip was too strong. She felt like she was drowning, and she couldn't catch her breath. Just when she thought it was over, the body released her, and she broke the surface of the water, gasping for air. She looked around, but her friends were nowhere to be found. She was alone in the darkness of the cave. Lena's heart was pounding as she made her way through the tunnels. She had no idea where she was going, but she knew she had to get out of the cave. Suddenly, she heard a sound behind her. She turned around and saw a figure in the distance. It was her friend, Jake. Relief washed over Lena as she ran towards Jake, but as she got closer, she realized something was wrong. His face was twisted in an expression of pure terror, and he was pointing behind her. Lena turned around and saw a shadowy figure emerging from the darkness. She couldn't make out its features, but she knew it was something terrifying. She tried to run, but her legs felt like they were made of lead. The figure closed in on her, and she felt its icy breath on her neck. She screamed and tried to fight it off, but it was too strong. Just when she thought it was over, the figure disappeared into thin air. Lena collapsed to the ground, her heart racing. She couldn't explain what had just happened, but she knew she had to get out of the cave. She stumbled through the tunnels, her headlamp flickering with each step. As she rounded a corner, she saw a light in the distance. She ran towards it, and as she got closer, she realized it was the cave entrance. She burst out into the sunlight, gasping for air. She collapsed on the ground, tears streaming down her face. She had made it out alive, but she would never forget the horrors that she had experienced in the depths of the cave. Lena's friends were never found, and to this day, nobody knows what happened to them. But Lena knew the truth. She had seen the terror that lurked in the darkness of the cave, and she would never forget it. From that day on, Lena never spoke of her experience in the cave. But she would occasionally wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, reliving the horrors of that fateful day. The Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park remained open, but the cave was closed off to the public. People still came to the park to ride the roller coasters and take in the views, but they had no idea of the terror that lay hidden beneath the surface. Lena never returned to the park, but she knew that the horrors of the cave would stay with her for the rest of her life. She had learned the hard way that sometimes, the most beautiful things can also be the most dangerous.